I noticed it while brushing my teeth. It was early, too early for anything to feel wrong. Outside, the sun hadn't made it over the rooftops yet. The street below was dead quiet, that half-light between night and morning when even the city holds its breath. My routine was the same as always: alarm at 5:45, feet on the floor at 5:47, bathroom light on by 5:48. Robotic. Mindless. Comforting. Then I reached for the towel. Same bar, same charcoal gray cotton. Looked like mine. But when I touched it, the difference hit like a static shock. Too smooth. Too stiff. Unused. I froze. My toothbrush kept working like a machine, but my eyes were locked on the fabric. We've had the same set of towels for years, wedding registry, overpriced boutique brand she insisted on. They'd seen bleach, makeup stains, God knows how many washes. The corners had that worn, slightly curled look from time and habit. This one didn't. I turned the edge over with my fingers. The tag was still crisp. No curling. No fading. New. The bristles of the toothbrush slowed. My hand dropped. I looked around the room like I was suddenly the only one in a place I didn't recognize. She'd done laundry yesterday. Folded everything while I was working from home. I remembered the way she moved around the living room, barefoot in those cotton shorts she wears when she wants something. She'd smiled at me when I glanced up from my laptop. There'd been no mention of buying new towels. No Amazon box. No Target bag in the hallway. And she tells me everything. Hell, she once called me at work because she found a dent in a can of soup and wanted to vent about product quality control. But not a word about this. It shouldn't have meant anything. A towel is just a towel. But this one wasn't ours. Not by origin. Not by memory. I moved back into the bedroom slowly, silently. She was still asleep, the way she always is when I leave, on her side, facing the window, one arm over the pillow, breathing soft. The blanket had slipped low on her back. I used to love watching her sleep like that. Like nothing in the world could touch her. Now I just watched. Different eyes. I stared at her for a long moment, then walked to the closet. Nothing disturbed. Nothing missing. Her gym bag was on the floor. Her shoes in their usual chaotic line like a stuttering heartbeat. But the towel kept echoing in my mind. Why would she need a new one? Why just one? I remembered something stupid from 2 days ago. She'd said she was sore from yoga, asked if we had a spare heating pad. At the time, it didn't stick. Now it did. A heating pad. A new towel. A lone detail out of place. I walked back into the bathroom and stared at my own face in the mirror. That's how it starts. Not with lipstick on a collar or a stranger's cologne. Not with shouting or shattered glass. Just a moment when something doesn't match. A line in the painting that shouldn't be there. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. I didn't say anything when I left. I didn't touch her. Didn't wake her. Just walked out the front door like every other morning. But everything was different. The ride to work was a blur. I don't remember the lights or the streets or even locking the car. I sat at my desk by 7:12, stared at my screen, and pulled up the calendar, not mine. Hers. We shared it years ago after a missed dinner reservation turned into a fight. She'd added her gym sessions, meetings, brunches. But the last few weeks had fewer entries. Shorter descriptions. Vague ones. Meeting. Work late. Me time. I started cross-referencing them with my own movements. When I was working late, she was working late. When I had a weekend trip with the guys, she had back-to-back appointments. Coincidences? Maybe. But the towel wasn't. That night, I didn't ask her about it. She came home, kissed me, poured a glass of wine, and told me about some stupid office drama involving her boss. She laughed. I laughed back. My eyes drifted to the laundry basket by the couch, folded neatly, but no sign of that new towel. She must have moved it. Put it away. Or hid it. I helped her cook dinner. We ate. We watched an episode of that show she likes, one where the husband gets framed for cheating, ironically. She joked about how I'd be too boring to cheat on. I smiled. She curled up next to me, unaware of the shift in the air. She fell asleep on the couch before the credits rolled. I stayed awake, staring at the screen after it dimmed. The towel burned in my memory like a brand. It was just the beginning. And I would make damn sure it would be the last quiet mistake she ever made. We still looked good from the outside. That was the worst part. To everyone else, we were that couple, solid, functional, clean. She still held my hand when we walked into restaurants. Still smiled across the table. Still posted pictures of Sunday brunches and called me babe in captions as if those snapshots were more real than whatever was happening between the shutter clicks. But in the quiet moments, the ones no one photographs, I could feel it. Like a radio tuned to the wrong frequency. She was still there physically. But her presence was thinning. Like fog in sunlight. Like something evaporating while you watched. She got busy, suddenly. Every week there was something back-to-back meetings, a new fitness class, a girls' night that popped up last minute. She spoke in buzzwords now. Boundaries. Balance. Finding space to breathe. She said it like a therapist might, detached, rehearsed. Words meant to calm without meaning. The real change was in the little things. Small. Surgical. Her phone started sleeping beside her instead of on the nightstand. She used to leave it charging across the room, untouched during dinner, forgotten during conversations. Now it never left her side. Screen always face down. Always on silent. She started locking it. Subtle, at first. A new passcode changed with a shrug and a laugh. Works being weird about privacy. But then Face ID stopped working for me. Then she stopped letting it out of her sight entirely. She even carried it to the bathroom. Once I heard it vibrate while she was in the shower. I reached for it instinctively, a reflex, and she yelled from behind the curtain, not a casual, don't worry about it, but sharp, defensive. She emerged with a towel and a forced smile, dripping and annoyed. Said it was just spam. I didn't ask. And then there was her smile. Still there. But it stopped reaching her eyes. The corners lifted out of obligation, not joy. It was performance, like everything else. She kissed me with the same rhythm, but her body leaned away. She still said, I love you, but it was always on her way out the door, never in. Like punctuation. Like a line she had to hit before the scene ended. She forgot things she shouldn't have. My mother's birthday. The name of my coworker she met 3 times. The dinner we had planned for Friday that she double-booked for a work thing. When I reminded her, she blinked like she was waking from a dream. Apologized. Kissed my cheek. Said we'd reschedule. We never did. I tried not to jump to conclusions. Tried to be fair. Rational. I told myself people go through phases. I blamed stress. Her job. Her family. Anything but what I was starting to believe. But the silence was no longer quiet. It had a sound to it now, constant, shrill, like the high-pitched whine of a dying appliance you only notice once it's already broken. Then came the almost climax. The moment that should have torn the veil, but instead knotted it tighter. It was a Thursday night. She was on the couch, laptop open, pretending to work. I was in the kitchen, half watching a basketball game and scrolling through the calendar on our shared tablet. The same one that used to have color-coded events, her green, my blue. I noticed she deleted 2 past entries. Not upcoming ones. Past ones. A dinner with coworkers from last week. A yoga retreat from 3 Saturdays ago. Just gone. I opened her laptop calendar connected through our shared cloud account. Those events were still there. But the names were different. Dinner with Jen plus Carla had become client outreach. Hot yoga workshop was now wellness conference. Something clicked. I didn't react. I kept scrolling. Just noise. Background. But inside something was crawling. I waited until she went to bed early, claiming a migraine. I waited 15 minutes after the bedroom door closed. Then I walked to the laundry room. The gym bag was still there, tucked in the corner like always. But it was zipped. It never used to be zipped. I opened it. Slowly. Inside, workout clothes. A small towel. A fresh water bottle. Nothing unusual except at the bottom, tucked under a spare pair of socks, was a receipt. Folded twice. No logo. It was for a hotel bar. 2 drinks. 1 appetizer. Tuesday, 8:41 p.m. That was the night she said she stayed late for a strategy meeting. I stared at it for a long time. Not enough. It wasn't proof. It wasn't damning. 2 drinks could be anything. The bar could be anywhere. Maybe she met a friend. Maybe someone else paid. Maybe it was a receipt she picked up off the floor and forgot to toss. Maybe. I folded it, put it back exactly as I found it. Zipped the bag. Closed the door. Said nothing. But I no longer believed her. Whatever was happening, she was orchestrating it with care. Cleaning the evidence, disguising the trail. This wasn't a slip, it was precision. Designed distance. A removal in slow motion. So I stopped trying to reach her. I just watched. And when you stop asking questions, people stop lying. And that's when they start showing you who they really are. It happened on a Sunday, mid-morning, the kind of slow, uneventful day that should have felt safe, sunlight spilling through the blinds, her bare feet padding around the kitchen, music low in the background. The smell of her oversweet cinnamon coffee curling through the house. I was sitting at the dining table, not really reading, just flipping through a finance article on my tablet, listening to her hum some forgettable indie tune like everything was normal. She wore one of my old t-shirts, the one she used to steal on lazy weekends when we couldn't keep our hands off each other. It was too rehearsed. 2. Look how relaxed I am. That morning was the first time I truly noticed how curated she'd become, every moment tailored to play the part of the loving wife. But then she pulled out her laptop. She didn't usually bring it to the kitchen on weekends, said it was her unplugged time. She opened it quickly, typing with an urgency that didn't match the fake smile she'd thrown at me moments earlier. I glanced up and saw something, just a flash, but enough. A folder name on the desktop. It wasn't open long, barely a second before she minimized it, but the title stuck: Evolve Wellness Transfer Forms. Not a document. A folder. I kept my eyes on the screen of my tablet, pretended to scroll, but my brain locked onto those words. Evolve Wellness was her gym, her yoga studio, her little sanctuary that she claimed made her a better person. She'd mentioned it 1,000 times, but transfer forms? She didn't work there. She was a member. Why the hell would she have forms for anything, let alone in a dedicated folder on her personal laptop? After she stepped away to take a call, I moved silently, approached the laptop like it might detonate. I didn't need a password, the screen was still on, minimized window blinking. I opened the folder. Inside were 3 PDFs. One was a bank transfer authorization form, with her name, her signature, and a routing number I didn't recognize. The other 2 were vendor invoices, both billed to her, not the gym, for wellness consultation services. The logo on the bottom corner was the same as the one printed on the towels I found folded in her gym bag 2 weeks ago. That's when it all aligned. The new towel that started this whole thing, same brand, same logo, same pattern. And there, in black and white, was the purchase order. She had paid for them. Not for us. For him. That was the moment. Not a scream. Not a punch to the wall. Just the sound of every lie she'd ever told sliding into place like the final piece of a puzzle I never wanted to finish. She was funneling money to someone at the studio. Maybe not a direct deposit, but it was clear. She was laundering attention, time, and resources to someone through a place she thought I'd never look twice at. And the worst part? The forms were clean. Not sloppily hidden. Not buried in obscure folders or encrypted files. Just there. Like she never even considered the possibility I'd look. That's what did it. Not the betrayal itself, but her certainty I'd never catch it. Her arrogance. Her belief that I was too trusting. Too passive. That she could keep smiling, keep talking about space and growth while quietly funding someone else's life, someone else's time, maybe even someone else's dreams. I closed the folder. Sat back down. And everything inside me went still. Cold. No rage. No heartbreak. That part had passed. I wasn't wondering anymore. I knew. And now the game had changed. She thought she was clever. Clean. Strategic. But she'd shown her hand and I'd memorized every card. No more guessing. No more begging her with silence to return to me. She wasn't coming back. That woman was gone. What was left was a ghost pretending to love me. And I wasn't going to exorcise her. I was going to bury her slowly, methodically, the way she deserved. From this point on, I would smile when she smiled. I would laugh when she laughed. I would kiss her goodnight and make her breakfast in the morning. I would keep being the perfect husband, the one she thought was too stupid to see through her polished script. She wanted evolution? She was about to see mine. Because now I wasn't a husband. I was the architect of her downfall. And the war had already begun. It started in the living room. A Tuesday night. She came home late, keys jingling like always, coat half off, that practiced smile already on her lips before she saw my face. I was sitting on the couch, lights low, her laptop open on the coffee table. The same laptop she never let me touch anymore. I'd been waiting. Not with fury. With certainty. Hey babe, she said, casually dropping her bag. Sorry, everything ran over today. You know how it gets, I gestured to the screen. Just a flick of my hand. Calm. Measured. Her eyes followed, and for a second, just a fraction, I saw her flinch. What's this? I asked. My voice was neutral. Almost bored. She took a step closer, then stopped. What do you mean, she said too fast. You tell me, I said. Transfer forms. Invoices. Receipts. Towel orders. I tilted my head. You remember that towel, don't you? The one you slipped into the house like it wasn't a needle in the middle of a clean floor. Her face hardened. Why are you going through my stuff? Because you stopped acting like this was our life. I stood slowly, and I wanted to see whose life you've been living instead. She crossed her arms. This is ridiculous. You're being paranoid. Those are just some forms for the man at your gym, I said, cutting her off. The one you've been funding behind my back. The one you've been slipping money to under wellness consulting and fake membership upgrades. You think I don't know what that code means? She blinked. You're reading into things. You're twisting it. You always do this. You assume the worst because you can't stand the idea of me doing something for myself. No, I said. I assumed the best for too long. That was my mistake. I gave you every out, every chance to come clean. But you buried yourself deeper with every smile. Her voice rose. I haven't done anything wrong. You're spying on me like a psycho, digging through my files, making accusations based on nothing. I stepped forward. You funneled our joint account into a private one you didn't think I'd find. You changed calendar entries, deleted events, lied about business trips, lied about friends, lied while wearing my shirt in my house, sleeping in my bed. She laughed, smirked. You sound insane. You're jealous because I found something meaningful, something that makes me feel alive. My voice stayed low. You mean him. The man who thinks you're investing in his business when really you're just buying yourself a place in his bed. You sold our life for some sweaty yoga instructor who feeds you affirmations between sessions. Her face changed, rage mixed with something else. Shame, maybe? Or fear. But she kept the act going. You have no idea what you're talking about. It's complicated. You've been emotionally distant for months. You work all the time, you don't touch me like you used to because I thought we were building something, I snapped. I thought the late nights and the missed touches were for a future we both wanted. Not so you could sneak around behind my back and pretend I was the problem. Her voice cracked. I needed space. I needed to feel like I mattered again. He listens to me. He sees me. No, I said, inching closer, my words colder now. He sees the mask you built. The perfect, broken, healing woman. But he doesn't know what's behind it. He doesn't know that you used to laugh at people like him. That you called yoga pretend therapy for pretty people. I do. I know the real you. Her bravado faltered. Her arms dropped. You think you're so above it all. So righteous. But you don't get it. You never saw how lonely I was. How tired I got of being second to your career. You weren't second, I said. You were everything. But you wanted more. You wanted to feel adored by someone new. To have your little fantasy without consequences. You thought I'd never notice. Or worse, you thought I wouldn't care enough to look. Silence. A long one. Her eyes glassy now. Her breath shallow. She tried again. One last spin. We can fix this. Maybe this is a wake-up call. For both of us. We can do therapy. Reset things. I still love don't, I said, voice flat. Don't insult me with that word. She staggered slightly like the weight of everything she'd built was finally pressing down. So what now? She whispered. You just walk away? Burn it all? I didn't move. I just looked at her. No, I said. I stay. For now. I want you to feel this unravel. Every day. I want you to wonder when I'll leave, what I'll take with me. I want you to feel what I felt for months, helpless, uncertain, exposed. She broke then. Not loudly. Not with sobs. Just a collapse internally. Her mouth trembled. Her shoulders sank. The mask slipped. And beneath it wasn't strength or defiance, it was a woman who thought she could control the narrative and now had nothing left to hide behind. I sat back down. Picked up the remote. The show she'd been watching started playing again, its cheerful intro music painfully out of place. She stood in the doorway, silent, shivering under the weight of her own choices. I didn't leave. I didn't scream. I just watched. And that was the final blow. She followed me into the kitchen the next morning like nothing had happened, her footsteps tentative, voice light, fake bright like the sound of cheap wind chimes in a storm. I thought maybe we could talk, she said, leaning on the counter like she used to on lazy Sundays, like her body still belonged in that space. I didn't answer. Just poured coffee, black, the way she used to tease me for, like drinking anger, she'd joke. She wasn't joking now. She watched me sip it, then tried again. I've been thinking, maybe we both said things we didn't mean. That's when I looked up. Just once. Calm. Measured. She saw something in my eyes that made her swallow. You're overreacting, she added quickly. People go through rough patches. This doesn't have to define us. I placed the mug down with care. You're right, I said quietly. This doesn't define us. But it defines you. She flinched, then scrambled. You're not perfect either, she snapped. You worked late. You didn't listen. You distanced yourself first. I distanced myself from the version of you that stopped being honest, I said. I was building a life. You were building a lie. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Her eyes darted, desperate for ground to stand on. You'll never find someone who loves you like I did, she spat. I nodded slowly. I hope not. She blinked. What's that supposed to mean? It means I don't want love that comes with lies. I don't want love that needs to be surveilled. I don't want love that hides bank statements and deletes calendars and calls betrayal growth. She stepped closer. I made a mistake. No, I said you made a plan. You created folders. You routed money. You sanitized your schedule. That wasn't a mistake. That was a strategy. Her voice cracked. I was scared. I didn't know how to talk to you anymore. You were always so in control. And you hated that, I replied. Because it meant you couldn't manipulate me the way you wanted. So you found someone simpler. Easier. Someone who'd believe whatever version of yourself you fed him. Her face twisted. That's not true. He understands me. He listens. I smiled, cold and flat. He listens because he doesn't know you. He sees a character, not a person. When he finds out what you did, how you did it, he'll see you the way I do now. She slammed her palm on the counter. You're enjoying this. I shook my head. No. I'm documenting it. Her breath caught like she'd finally realized how deep the cut went. So what now? She whispered. You leave me? You burn everything? No, I said. You burned it. I just lit a match to show the ashes. She sat down abruptly like her legs couldn't hold her anymore. Her voice dropped, soft now, raw and shaking. Please. Don't give up on us. This isn't who I really am. I was just lost. I leaned in close enough that she could feel the weight of every word. No. This is who you are. You're just not used to being seen. She covered her face, breathing hard, sobbing quietly, but not for me, for herself. For the empire she built on borrowed intimacy, for the illusion of control, for the fantasy where she got to have both lives without losing either. And still, I didn't leave. I let her sit there, unraveling in the ruins of her own design. People always say silence is passive, but they've never seen it used like a blade. She kept whispering things, memories, promises, half apologies, fragments of old affection twisted into tools. I let her speak. Let her spill everything she thought might buy her way back. But I was already gone. I just hadn't left the room yet. And when she finally looked up at me, eyes red, mascara smudged, mouth trembling with some new justification she hadn't tried yet, I gave her nothing. No words. No pity. Just silence. And in that silence, she finally understood that the war was never loud. It was cold. Quiet. Absolute. It started small, an email that slipped through spam filters 2 months after the divorce finalized, subject line lowercase like a whispered apology, I'm sorry. I didn't open it. A week later came the call from a blocked number at 2:17 a.m. I let it ring. The voicemail was 43 seconds of her breathing, then a broken whisper, please. I don't know who else to call. She tried again the next day with a message on Instagram, new account, no followers, profile picture, a blurry sunset, like that could undo who she'd been. I still love you, it read. We were soulmates. I didn't mean for it to end like this. She meant she didn't think it could end at all. But it had. And the world she built on secrets, on curated control and soft-spoken manipulation had collapsed one brick at a time. Her lover found out the truth, how she played him, paid him, paraded him as some emotional salvation while still siphoning value from me. I never told him. I didn't have to. Men like him aren't blind forever. He walked, fast and clean, and left her with silence. Her job followed soon after. Evolve Wellness restructured once the invoices leaked and whispers turned into HR complaints. Turns out using personal funds funneled through fake consultations doesn't look great in quarterly reviews. Then came the friends. One by one, her brunch group shrank. Her group chats fell silent. When they realized she wasn't the wounded wife but the architect of the downfall, they chose distance. Self-preservation. She lost their approval, and that, more than anything, broke her. Because that's what she lived on. Validation. Applause. The illusion that she was somehow still good, still wanted, still central to someone's story. Even her family pulled back. Her sister stopped answering. Her mother, once so quick to defend her, so sharp toward me, sent a message months later, not to apologize, but to ask quietly if I was okay. That's when I knew her world was truly gone. When even the ones who raised her could no longer shield her from the truth of who she'd become. She showed up once outside my apartment. Hair unkempt. Makeup smeared like a memory. Her eyes wide, searching for the man she once owned. Please, she said, voice trembling, just talk to me. I didn't. I looked at her the way you look at an old photograph from a life you don't remember living. Not with hate. Not even sadness. Just distance. She was a stranger with my memories. A failed actress who forgot the script halfway through the play and thought the audience would still clap. And when she realized I wouldn't reach for her, wouldn't yell, wouldn't beg, wouldn't even acknowledge the weight she carried, she started to cry. But it wasn't the cry of a woman who'd lost love. It was the cry of someone who'd lost power. She tried every line. You said we were forever. You knew I was broken when you met me. No one else ever made me feel safe. Every sentence was a noose, thrown in reverse, hoping I'd hang myself in shared nostalgia. But I didn't flinch. Because love, once weaponized, cannot be mourned. It can only be buried. And I'd already carved the grave. She left eventually. Slowly. Head down. The heels she once wore like declarations now stumbling across cracked pavement. And that was the last time I saw her. The woman who once orchestrated our life like a conductor now wandered alone through the silence she created. And I moved forward. Not with revenge, not anymore. But with clarity. With peace. Because the worst part of betrayal isn't the moment you're broken. It's realizing how long you were being played while calling it partnership. And the best part of healing? Is not needing the apology. Not wanting the closure. Just watching the storm pass and never stepping back into the rain. So yeah, that's how it ended. With a towel. A transaction. 1,000 small lies that added up to the moment she lost everything she thought she controlled. Thanks for listening. Let me know where you're watching from and what you would have done if it were your wife.